From the New England School of Communications on the campus of Husson University, this is the Maine Report, the way news should be.
Hello and welcome to the Maine Report. I'm Jeffrey Hope. We're going to be talking about news photography today, specifically how do you shoot a news story. And my guest today is Mr. Larry Ayotte, who has a lot of experience doing that. Larry, thank you so much for coming in. Larry and I have known each other for years. I was at WABI TV for a long time while Larry was at the competition. And I would say we had a friendly rivalry. didn't not get along.
No.
And now we work together. So it's my privilege to work with Larry and talk about news stories. So we're going to be speaking specifically about what it takes to be what they call a one-man band. And I'm wondering if we could get some tips on from your perspective. You've never done that. You have a more critical eye than a lot of us because you've been shooting video for a lot longer. But for starters, Larry, what do you think that someone has to be thinking of if they're going to be shooting a news story by themselves and they are a reporter going out for a story?
Well, some of the things I see a lot of reporters do is they shoot with the camera set too low. They don't shoot at the eye level. They don't place their camera at eye level. So that tends to bring in a lot of the sky typically. It's unflattering because you're photographing underneath somebody's nose, which is kind of like just something you don't do with portrait photography, so it kind of translates to that. So
what's the downside of having too much sky behind it?
The camera will process that image as being way too light, and what will happen is your tone in your face, your exposure in your face will look darker than it should.
Okay.
So you always want to try to get up a little higher than that so that you're either shooting with a building in the back or some sort of vegetation so that the camera is not struggling with trying to balance out a bright sky with a darker face.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
You know that you're going to be going to a story that's got a lot of action, things are moving. What should you be thinking of in terms of how to shoot it?
Use the eyepiece, not the LED screen, because the LED screen, number one, is the most inaccurate part of that camera. Plus, you can't tell how sharp the focus is on things. So one thing I've noticed over the years is when video students show their presentations, they'll actually have out-of-focus shots because when they look at it on the screen, it looks fine. When you blow it up onto a monitor, you can see there's the depth of field is wrong or the focus point is wrong.
Okay.
The eyepiece is specifically designed for your eye to isolate and bring out as much sharpness as you can get out of that specific thing you're shooting.
I think this explains the problem. If we go to the two-shot for a second, if you guys could show the two-shot, I'll tell you something I see a lot. So I see a lot of interviews where the people are like this, but it's the back wall that's in focus, way back here. Yeah. And if you look carefully, the two people sitting right here, or one
soft,
is out of focus. Yeah. Is that why you think it's because the student is looking through?
They're looking at the LED.
Okay.
Within our photography class, we can use our live view screen is very similar to the LED screen on a video camera, and the only time the students are allowed to use the live view is if they're doing critical focusing. Okay. And on a tripod, so that they're specifically using it for accuracy. And it's amazing. You can blow up the image as in a video camera, but it's not friendly when you're out shooting out and about with an ENG style camera. You want to use that eyepiece. It's the best. Okay.
We're going to take a look at a story. This is Alyssa Thurlow. She is a junior, and she heard about a local event here in the Bangor area, a group that plays dodgeball. So this is regional adults playing dodgeball in a league. And let's take a look at that, and then we'll listen to it as well, and then we'll see how Larry might have shot it. Let's take a look.
You probably have played dodgeball at recess, but recess doesn't have to end.
And for this group of local adults ranging in age from 18 to 40, it most certainly hasn't. They are playing in a league sponsored by Fusion Bangor, a nonprofit dedicated to helping young adults network in the area. On Tuesday and Thursday nights, these big kids pack the Field for Kids sports complex here in Bangor and take part in the 5 Ds of dodgeball: dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. So why dodgeball? For Fusion Sports Committee member Kim Mayer, it's simple.
We picked dodgeball just because everyone kind of grew up playing dodgeball, so everyone knows the rules, and it kind of gives us like a flat playing field, so people that may not be involved in sports can still come and have a good time and reminisce a little bit.
Reminisce and socialize. That is the goal of Fusion Bangor, which started in 2013. The Dodgeball League in itself has grown to more than 30 teams and includes over 450 players. To make the program successful, Fusion Bangor had to find a facility to play in, and that's when they found MJ Ball. Ball is currently the executive director of Field for Kids and says that his fields make it a lot easier for playing.
Instead of playing on a gym floor, what we've heard is that the turf, they love to be able to dive and not get hurt, and so it's as you can see, they have a lot of fun.
Having fun and not getting hurt is always a good thing, but does everyone really play by the rules?
The rules are the hardest part. Dodgeball, there's so much going on. We really just try to keep it good sportsmanship, and if you're out, call yourself out type thing. But we have refs that they do this for a living, and they're good at it, but it's crazy out here sometimes.
Crazy, but fun. And of course, that is what it is all about. Reporting in Bangor, Alyssa Thurlow, NESCom Connection.
Okay, so before Larry says anything, let me give you a little bit of background. So Alyssa is a junior, and so from my perspective, I'm very happy with this because I get her for a whole other year to work on things. She also hasn't done an internship yet where she can work with sports people that do this every day. So she's going to get that as a benefit later. So from my perspective, she's off to a really good start. Very pleased with that, but let's take it to the next level. What does she need to work on for her during her senior year? What did you say?
Well, this wasn't a one-man band.
Right. I'm sorry, she did have some help. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that typically is that was indicated right at the beginning when the camera was moving. Typically, when a reporter does a stand-up, the motivation for doing a stand-up is to primarily link two things together from one place to another, to carry the story from one place to another. Was a stander needed in this shot? In this series, I'm not really sure. Mm-hmm. But the first thing you want to do when you do a package and you want to entice people to watch it is to create a situation where you're seeing some action and you're hearing audio. The audio is what brings people into it. They hear a ball slapping against the wall, they see a person reacting to it, and then you can start into the actual package itself. Mm-hmm. And then the stander in this case could have been put in later on. Overall, it's very good. It's a very hard thing to shoot, but the motion of the camera is okay when there is an intensified scene where you have to show and you want to really intensify the drama. Mm-hmm. It's okay to go off shoulder, but a majority of the time you should be on a tripod.
You'd rather see static?
Those not static, but follow shots that are tripod mounted, because it's disorienting to people to have to see all that movement when it's not really motivated. So if you want to have a movement shot, that's great, but it has to be motivated. Okay. So telephoto shots, wide shots, medium shots, all these various shots, it's just basic cinematography. And this had that. This wasn't that bad. The only issue I have really with this piece is the last interview with the gentleman.
With the lighting?
He couldn't see his face.
Right.
Couldn't see his face. The gentleman before that in the red shirt, that was perfect. Mm-hmm. They were pulling the light from the front and lighting his face beautifully. The lady that was before that, she was lit directly from the top. So when you're doing natural or ambient lighting, you have to be aware of where that light is coming from so you can light the front of the person's face.
Let's play the story again, only this time without audio, and we'll talk about it as the story goes live. So we'll start. If you guys can play that again, we'll see Alyssa again. This is her stand-up open, and we talk a lot about whether or not to begin stories. I usually tell them ask students not to do that, especially in a feature. But that
was a really nice tripod-mounted compression shot there, where they picked the ball out of the shot. That would have been a beautiful opening shot.
What do you think of this? Following the action?
This is good stuff right here. This is good. This is good, but it would be nice to have that cross shot of the other person reacting, being hit. And that's not, it's just part of the cutting process. And I think they just crossed the axis here, but that's okay. Are they both two yellow teams playing? No, there's a black. So there was a cross axis here where the yellow team was playing against the yellow team. Here, this woman has magnificent cheekbones, but there's no light in her face. And so, but the background's not too bad.
Can you get away with the available light, or does this interview call for an extra light?
But you'll see when they come up with the second gentleman there with the red shirt, he is beautifully lit. And it doesn't hurt to take a light kit with you. You don't have to use all 3 lights, but just take one of the lights and use it to do that natural, just one light, that's all you need. And try to avoid incorporating the background. I love this stuff right here with the close-up of the ball.
Mm-hmm.
But this is this needs to be tripod mounted. This is fun right here. Look at the lighting on this. This is almost classic 3-point lighting. He's almost got a little cheek triangle on the left side of his face.
So you're pleased with this?
I think it's amazing. It's away from the action.
Cool.
You see something going on in the background. It's beautifully composed. It's got the rule of thirds all over it. So this is a good example of an action shot. But I need that ball to hit somebody. This is a Tony the Tiger interview shot.
Now, where do we move him though to make this work?
Based on where all the light is, I think if they would have been standing where he was and shooting where they were, that would have worked out, because I think that's where the gentleman was in the first place. But I like the way they cross the interviews, which is also very important. Don't always shoot the same interview on the same side, which, although this isn't a one-man band operation, people who shoot those types of that style tend to put their interview on the same side all the time, and it's hard to reverse the person, but it makes such a difference when you see the back-to-back. Especially if you have to put the interviews, you always leave that option for yourself, so if you got to put them back-to-back, you don't have them on the same side.
A lot of times when students have a theme or an organization in their story, they feel like they've got to make sure that there's a visual to shoot. And so in this case, we saw a giant poster in the background at one point. We also saw someone shot from behind because their T-shirt said Fusion Bangor. I'm not a big fan of that kind of thing. What's your thinking?
My thinking is that you have to really start thinking like a still photographer. If you were a still photographer coming into this situation and having to create an image for the newspaper, you'd have to come up with a composition and a camera angle that will allow you to incorporate a lot of different things, and that's something that videographers need to apply to what they're doing. That shot would have been very easily put into another shot where there's a whole bunch of other action going on that wasn't just a static, or in this case wobbly sign. You could have had something in the foreground going on, and there could have been. It wouldn't have been bringing attention to itself, but it would have been there in the scene.
Okay. Anything else that we would like Alyssa to focus on her senior year?
Keep taking pictures. That's the main thing. Keep working at it, because the only way you improve at this game is to keep doing it, and that's the key thing. There's an old photographer saying, F8 and be there, and that's how people learn. So it's an amazing business to be in, because you never see the same thing over and over again. So
right, absolutely, cool.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you, Larry. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll take a look at another student package, and we'll hear some more from Mr. Larry Ayotte.
Too much.
Get your ass out. You're not in here. Yes, I am. Move. Give it to him hard. No.
Every day, kids witness bullying.
Why you stab me with it? No.
They want to help, but don't know how.
Oh,
Teach your kids how to be more than a bystander. Visit stopbullying.gov.
Welcome back to the Maine Report. I'm Jeffrey Hope, and my guest today is Mr. Larry Ayotte, and we're talking about photography and videography, specifically how to shoot a news story. And Larry, thanks again for coming in. So we just saw a sports piece. Now we're going to see another piece. This is Nicole Duplessis. She is a senior and getting ready to graduate. It's coming very closely. This is a story she very recently shot at a plant, and so we don't often see inside the GE plant here in Bangor, so I talked to her about that's kind of a unique experience. And then we didn't really talk too much about the structure of the story. I just kind of let her do that, but I did say it's a unique opportunity to get inside. So she was able to do some interviews and get inside the plant, and let's take a look at that story.
What you're seeing behind me is only part of GE in Bangor, Maine, and many people don't even know what this place is and what actually happens inside here.
This is a high-tech manufacturing environment where people get to use a whole range of skills, from computers to math to geometry. And so it's really an engaging type of work. It's certainly not an assembly line either, where you think about it in a factory and you're only responsible for one little piece. Our employees have a wide responsibility for making, generally speaking, the part from beginning to end.
Human Resources Manager Nathan Sharanian oversees many of the people working at GE. There are about 450 employees at the facility in Bangor, and many of them are responsible for running multi-million-dollar pieces of equipment. They play different roles in the parts that the plant creates and distributes. Parts for gas and steam turbines for the power generation industry, which are built here from scratch and shipped in many different directions. Plant manager Eric Anderson says cleanliness and accuracy are important in a plant like this one because of the parts they are creating.
When you go into a facility like ours here in Bangor, you walk into a very clean environment with very high precision machining tools that are utilized to hold tolerances that are the thickness of your hair.
A measurement off by 4/1000ths of an inch can make a world of difference. A difference that student interns majoring in this trade have the opportunity to learn, hands-on.
It doesn't take much for the students to really get to the next level and build on that foundation that they got in school, because what they learn in school is the foundation, and here's where they're sort of applying it on a broader scale. And really within a matter of weeks, interns are really up to speed running multi-million-dollar cells and really fancy high-tech equipment.
Students who intern at GE have the chance to learn from and work with experienced machinists.
I've had the opportunity to train 2 of the interns. It's been a very good learning experience, I think, for both them and me. A lot of them came in with a lot of good knowledge already.
And Anderson says having an internship in this trade is an important link from schoolwork to real-world expectations.
After that first year of school, come do an internship, whether it be here or at any other facility, and all of a sudden everything starts clicking, making sense. So that when you go back to your final year of school, now you've seen the product. You've got experience touching the product. You've got experience machining the product.
Machinists, engineers, and interns alike essentially see, touch, and machine products that help keep other plants running as efficiently as this one.
So 3 elements to that: the stand-up, interviews, and video inside the plant. What do you think?
There was a white balance problem with the stand-up and that interview outside. So that's one of the difficult things to see if you're using an LED monitor outside. That's why it's nice to have the eye cup to look at to see if the color is right. And one of the things that happened...
Hold on that. Do you think that she might have caught that had she been looking through the eyepiece? That's a tough thing.
I don't know if she... I can't say because I don't know how she did it. But one of the things that happens is when you're thrust into this type of environment where you're in a strange place and you have a certain amount of time to do something, is you tend to rush. Right. And that's across the board. Professionals do that. Yes. And then we swear at ourselves and go, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. So to see a student do this, it's not that surprising. But the thing that you have to keep in mind is that the person you're interviewing will allow you a certain amount of time to fiddle. Right. They know what you're doing is very complicated. And if you do it for 20 minutes, you're in trouble. Just get in the car and leave. But if you're fiddling and you're fiddling for 2 or 3 minutes, that's well within the acceptable range of you to figure out your white balance is wrong, the lighting's not right. I'm thinking I've done this wrong. I'm going to place you over here instead of over here. I'll put you in the shadows instead of direct sunlight. All these various things you can do. But you have to prepare yourself to do that. And those are all photographic things that you see as you practice and you keep doing. It's all experience.
Yep. So don't rush. What else did you say?
Don't rush. Well, having my associate's degree is in machine tool technology.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I'm looking at this, and the one thing I'd have to say is whenever you walk into an environment that you know nothing about, and especially if there is the interview she did with the public affairs person was spot on. I mean, the lighting was good, the tripod mounted, good mic placement. And that's an opportunity to have them tell you what they want shot, so that you sit there and in your process of asking questions in your notebook and you're listening to what they're saying, well, what kind of visuals can I get of this? And you write that down so that when you brought around the factory floor, you can say, hey, did you tell me about the CNC machine? Gotcha. How is that working? So that you're you don't stray and you don't get just different various shots. Nobody really knows.
You have a plan now that they have given to you. Let's stop here and give me a minute.
Yeah, because there was a lot of shots in there I would have liked to have seen because they have some amazing equipment in there. But the shots were tripod mounted, they were well lit, and that's, overall, it's pretty good. The interview thing, I can't stress that enough, especially for students who want to get a job in this field. Don't be afraid to take a low light kit out and practice your lighting of interviews. You don't have to light anything else, but at least light your interviews, because news directors look at that, and the minute they see you have lit somebody, that's gold to them.
It tells them something.
That tells them something. And it also gives you a light stand that you can pre-position for your stander, focus in on, move the light stand out of the way, and you can do your beautifully crisp, white balanced, eye-leveled stander with no problems.
When we were in the first draft of this story, I asked her to add a little detail. She wanted a little bit more detail, so I asked her to write in the fact that things can't be off by thousandth of an inch. And then Nicole added the still of the measuring device with the slow zoom in. What did you think of that addition visually?
It's fine. It's one of those. It's more of an illustration than anything to show that there's a vernier caliper, measuring something, which is fine. Most people don't know what that is.
Right.
So I think it added a little credibility to the story. That there was an actual component of it that was different than what people mostly don't see.
Anything else in that story?
No, everything else looked pretty good.
So Nicole, final few months here before she, or weeks actually at this point, before she heads out, anything she should be thinking about for her story that she's shooting by herself, which she will be doing soon?
Shooting by herself, she's going to have to get away from the sky in the background, get a little camera a little higher, and so figuring out a way to do the math on that so that when she does a stander, it looks like there's actually somebody behind the camera looking like they're doing it for her.
Right.
And that's easily done with a light stand or any type of post you can place up there in your stead to focus on frame and go about it.
Any final thoughts for anyone looking to improve their video shooting skills?
Lighting. Lighting.
Right.
It's all about the light.
All about lighting.
It's all about the light and the proper color of the light and how the light is motivated. I sound like Steve Vachon there, but motivated light. It's there, you just have to know how to manipulate it.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for doing this. I can't wait for the students to hear this. They'll have their own copy of it, so we're looking forward to it. This has been the Maine Report. I'm Jeffrey Hope. Thank you. Cool, thanks.